Hello, Oracles. What is going on? Happy Friday evening. Oracle live here. So Tesla announced officially today, way earlier than I expected. They dropped their 8K today, announcing that we are going to have the stock split coming on August 24th at the close. So opening on the 25th, anybody who has owned shares will now have 3 times the shares you currently own. Now, how does this take effect? Any shareholders who have stock as of August 17th, close of day, will be eligible for that. So if you don't own any shares or you want to build up your share count to be able to be viable for the split, it is going to be happening on the 17th. So make sure you buy your shares by the 17th, and then we will get the split on the end of day 24th. With the sell-off that we've got going on today, I mean, Elon said it yesterday, when we get some one-off stuff going on, it's time to buy the dip. And that's what I did today. I took the opportunity to buy a little bit. I bought $10 at $8.82. I bought another $10 at $8.64. So we'll go over kind of some of the charts and what I have seen. So all in all, it's good and not good. It's not a bad thing, but we'll just kind of break it down right now. I see. Just going through here. Yeah, Willie. So as far as today's sell-off, so not a lot of people asking why we sold off today. Something we had discussed before is selling the news. Typically, when it comes to Tesla, we have seen it many times in the past. It's all buy the rumor, sell the news. We've seen it time and time again. And I had mentioned it the other day where if we didn't get any new news coming in from the annual shareholder meeting, there was a good chance we were going to get a sell-off today. I was hoping we were going to close above 900 to stay within our upward channel. That did not happen today. And I think part of the reason was it wasn't just a sell-off from the news. There were some other things that were coupled in with this. We had the jobs report came in hotter than expected. And because of that, it put back on the table the Fed possibly raising interest rates higher in September, whereas a couple of weeks ago, we thought we might see a pause. So, that swayed a little bit. And then we had news coming out of China and Taiwan with Nancy Pelosi. And now there's sanctions for the high-end stuff when it comes to U.S. and China relations. So that didn't help the situation at all. We kind of, many of you talked about it on here, kind of anticipated that coming. Hopefully that's where it ends. Hopefully we can, squash that here, but who knows? So I think a lot of those factors on top of the sell the news came in. And then at 2 o'clock today, we saw all those margin calls coming through. So, that just took the hit and brought us down even further. So that's basically what caused the sell-off today. But again, as Elon said, it's a one-off thing. This is not anything that having to do with the fundamentals of Tesla. So seeing an opportunity like this, that's why I bought some more. So now how far down do we go? I don't know. I mean, this is something that, we can discuss about gaps. We have gaps that go down to 776 and 742. So because of that, maybe those are the levels we pull down to. This is why I dollar cost average. I don't know how far down we're going to go, but I've got my cash on the side. So as we dip down, I'm going to buy more. And if you guys do follow me on Twitter, I put all my trades over there so you guys can see when I add. Let's see here. Yeah, that's actually what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we fill the gap. And actually, timing-wise, and I had mentioned it yesterday, like timing-wise, the ideal situation would be we fall down before the 17th, fill that 742 gap, give us an opportunity to load up. Because personally, not to say we can't fall any further, but the trend we have been on is those gaps, the lower gaps have been getting higher and higher all along. So if we can continue that and we continue gapping up like that, then 742 would be the bottom. So I've got my buy-in for 2 shares in my IRA, and then my 10% cash. If we get down to those levels, I will start dumping in heavier. Right now it's $10 every time we drop. I'm very busy at work, so I kind of just play gut feel. When I see it dropping a little bit more, I'll add a little bit more. But if we get closer to that 750 level, I'll start dumping a little bit heavier and maybe like $20 or $25. Right now, I'm in almost 10.5 shares, trying to get to 12 by the time we split. Really, basically have like 2 weeks to get there, 10 days to get there. So we'll see if I can make that happen. But if we do pull down that level, that would be ideal. Dean dip a skull. I played baseball back in the 90s. All the guys were dipping back then. Let's see. Just going through your questions here. Split announcement. Yeah, Dean, I don't know how far this is going to get. Obviously, as soon as we heard that Pelosi was going over there, it was like, why is this even happening right now? Why are we even poking the hornet's nest? But it happened, so let's see how far it goes. Yeah, Willie, spot on right there. And Elon had said, and those of you guys who watched the meeting last night, it was, Elon just talking about, looking long term. And Kimball had mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. The next 10 years for Tesla are going to be amazing. And, obviously you've got to have conviction that they are going to come through with all of the projects that they're working on: FSD, energy, insurance, robo taxis, AI, Optimus, all of that. But if they can make all of that happen, you are looking at what Elon had said himself is going to be most likely the most valuable company on the planet. So, buy and hold. And so if you see some dips like this, even buying now, if you think that the stock is going to be worth, $10,000 in 2030, right now is an awesome time to buy. $1,000 is an awesome time to buy. So, any dips you can get along the way are just an even better time to buy. So, I follow the daily swings of the stock to just kind of learn the stock market and feel the pulse of it myself. But I'm really a long-term investor. So I'm just learning these pulses. And, for people who do want to, just wait for a dip or maybe buying a little bit lower, I'm learning these things so I can buy at these lower prices and just bring my cost basis down. That's really all I'm doing it for. So that's why I follow it. But, looking at today, and so I didn't even mention it. I'm going to bring it up in a second. The RSI is down, which is something I was hoping was going to cool off, and it did today. So that's great. Yeah, we got kicked in the gut. But, honestly, Logan, if you're looking at it long term, don't even worry about it. Take this as a gift. Like everybody likes a dip of some sort, whether it's guacamole dip or salsa dip or something like that. If you like dip, cheesy dip, there's a 7-layer dip, have at it. Everybody likes a dip of some sort. So except today is a day of dipping. Split date. So I know I announced it super early. The split date is end of day, August 24th. So on the opening of the August 25th, which is a Thursday, you'll have 3 times your shares. You just need to be a shareholder by August 17th. Let's see. Yes, see, you're welcome. You asked for some bad news and we got it. So there we go. We're good. We got the bad news, we got the dip, and we'll just see how much further we keep on dipping down. Because now at this point, I don't know where we're gonna go. We broke our trend, so we'll see kind of where we're at. Let's see. Nice. Yeah, my dad was actually telling me himself. He's like, no, he and I kind of do the same thing. We follow some news, we follow some trends, and then we go by gut feel. And his gut feeling is telling him that we had a little sell off today, have a little bit of a more sell off on Monday, and then Tuesday we may turn around a little bit. But don't forget, next week we've got the CPI on Wednesday and then the PPI on Thursday. So who knows what's going to happen, because that usually leads to uncertainty. Plus, now with the Fed having back on the table, we've had many Fed members come out and say that, don't get, too complacent with the fact that we may pause. There's still an interest rate hike on the table that could happen. And so if we get the news that we got today, kind of reiterates that's still on the table. If we get CPI that comes in next week, that is hotter than we expect, then we could see an ugly market, because the market's going to be expecting a higher interest rate hike rather than a pause. Yeah, honestly, you know what? I'm not in this for the money. I mean, it is nice and it is something I want to do full time. But for me, I found that live streams, I can interact with you guys better, and I like that. I like doing my video formats as well, because when I do the video formats, for me and timing wise, I need to do that to edit things out, and I don't have time to live stream all the time. But I like this. So a couple of times a week with you guys, for me, it doesn't matter. I would rather be able to build this relationship with you guys. That's what it's all about for me. Oh, where did it go? Oh no. Yeah, that'd be great if I can get 3x subscribers as soon as we split. That'd be great. So Kevin, we don't know. Some people were talking about how the way it looked today and the way we were trading seemed like maybe we were getting an Elon sell-off of some sort. I checked the form. Actually, I'll check them again right now. There were no Form 4 filings that came out stating that. I will check them again right now. Nope, still nothing. So as of right now, no, there is 48 hours. So we could get, I don't know if it's Monday or I think it's Tuesday we would have to know by. So by Tuesday, we would see if there are any Form 4s from Elon selling. So, I mean, it looked like it could have been. I don't know. Obviously, judging by what Elon said last night and the fact that he hasn't filed any Form 4s, kind of seems like, he's definitely in this to get Twitter. And chances are he will end up having to sell some shares. How many, I don't know. But again, Gary Black had a lot of information on that over on Twitter. I have not had a chance to look at it yet, though. Yeah, the teaser. So I'm curious about the teaser. Let me know what you guys think. I was wondering the same thing myself. I don't know if that image was the actual Optimus that we're going to see, and that was just the hands of it. Personally, if it is, I think it's pretty cool. I think that's a great step because it's going to be better than like the dog robots or just something on wheels or like Johnny Five Alive, which actually that would be pretty cool too. But yeah, so that was a nice little teaser. We'll see what comes up. I'm more of the, like, let me actually see it kind of guy. I like to get excited about this stuff. But, I do want to make sure that, hey, I'm investing my money here. Is this teaser joy fun actually going to produce something? So that's kind of where I'm at. But it was pretty cool. I like the teaser of it. Let's see. Yes, thank you. Yes, please hit the like button. Yeah, that's one thing that I have been following lately is crypto. Crypto has kind of been a leading indicator again. It was most of the year, and then it kind of didn't be. It was for a little while, like a month or so, it wasn't. But we're back to it being a leading indicator. I have been noticing that the stock market has been trailing along and trending along with crypto. So I'm still following that, and with Ethereum up, and now when it comes to Tesla itself, you got to remember that Tesla was running away from the market. Tesla had been trending with the market for pretty much all the year. And then just lately going into earnings and coming out of earnings, it jumped above where the macro environment was and all the indices were. So when that happened, I kind of had a feeling that we were going to, get pulled back into line. I was talking about how we need to find our new range. And once we find the range, the macro is going to pull us back into line. I think this is just the macro pulling us back into line right now, as we were kind of pushing a little bit higher. The RSI showed it. We were over 70. So we were overbought and due for a little bit of a pullback. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. Yep, and Elon said buybacks are possible in the future. My guess is, and I'm going to do a whole video on when I think splits and buybacks are going to happen over the next decade. So I'll hopefully have that out for you guys over the next week. But I'm guessing that if we don't see buybacks later next year, we'll see them in 2024. It's really going to depend, and Elon said it himself, on the macro environment. If the macro cools off and we get inflation down, interest rates are normal, and we kind of get back to a less volatile and more predictable macro environment in the economy, I think then they will be able to do the buybacks. So probably end of 2023 or into 2024, we'll see them. I was hoping we'd see them this year, but I don't think so. Based on what Elon said last night, I don't think we're going to see them within the next year. Yeah. It was funny because I was like, I'm wearing the red shirt, and I was like, man, I didn't want to have to wash the green shirt, but you know what? It happened. It's currently in the wash right now, but it needed it. It needed a wash, so I guess it works out. Yeah, this is a good question. Where do you guys think they're going to build it? So, a lot of people at the meeting last night were talking about Canada. Personally, I think Indonesia sounds like a hot place that they're going to do it based on, the talks that they've been having over there. Sound like they had some really good talks. We know that they already have a second factory, which is called an expansion coming up in Shanghai. And then, we already know that they're expanding Berlin. We know that they're expanding Austin. Some people were talking about Eastern US. Perhaps Canada, I think, might actually be a viable place because the EV tax credit, which we know Elon doesn't need anyway, but it still pertains to anything on North America. So, that could potentially be a spot. I don't know. So we'll see what they do, but it sounds like we will have it at the end of the year. But let me know where you guys think they're going to put one up. Boston. Where in Boston are they going to put one? So we actually do a lot of deliveries up to the Boston area for my company because we deliver to a bunch of construction companies up there. So I cannot fathom any room up there that they could potentially put a factory in, but that would be awesome. I would love to be able to supply that. My company would totally be all over that. We supply a lot of Amazon warehouses right now. Yeah, Australia is another one. Seeing as they have, the huge mega pack field that they've got going on down there to help them out with all the brownouts and stuff. The fact that they just started selling to Australia, that would be a great place to put it. I'm just wondering if Indonesia would be more apt to have it because they have the batteries and the materials right there on site. So it may be better logistically to have it in Indonesia. And then, I mean, it's Australia's just a hop, skip, and a jump away, so they could easily ship it right there. But then again, I also don't know when it comes to like all the money and what it would cost between the two places. To get rid of the junk rating approved. So I don't know if Q2 financials were going to be strong enough technically for them to do it, despite the fact that financially, by some aspects, like the Altman Z score, Tesla is significantly stronger than all of legacy auto, who are all considered investment grade rating for credit. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to wait till Q3 to see them, have even better cash flow than they had in Q2. We'll see, but I think at that point we're going to see a bit more stability in the stock because there's a bunch of institutions and mutual funds who haven't bought in strictly because of the credit rating. So when they do, it'll be more institutionally owned. Once it's more institutionally owned, we may see less swings in the stock like we saw today. So it might bring the beta down. Even if it brings the beta down to like a 1.7, that would be a significant reduction in volatility. Yeah, Jerry, I don't know. And my dad was actually discussing with me earlier today about the split, and it's strange how they said that they wanted to split to bring the price down to make it more attractive and better for the employees to buy in. But even at $300+, where basically it would be right now, or just under $300, that stock price is still relatively high. So I really don't know. If they're maybe they'll do another split next year. Maybe, we'll see how the stock goes. Maybe it splits next year. Maybe it splits in 2024, maybe another 3-to-1 or a 5-to-1 at that point. But we'll see. I think it all depends on how the macro does, how the stock runs. And I think when we get the next split, that's when we will get the buyback. Because a lot of times you see companies will do a split and buyback at the same time. So that's probably what we will end up seeing. So, maybe end of 2023, beginning of 2024, we see a split and a buyback happen at the same time. And I apologize if you guys hear loud banging. I have some children having a glorious time of fun upstairs above me. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, yearly split. I don't know. I mean, if they're going to do 3-to-1s, that's totally possible. The way the stock moves, maybe that does end up happening. I'm really not sure, but we shall see. Yeah, Tom, that's part of what I was just talking about. Is just that is there's some institutions and retirement funds are in the stock, but there are some who have very strict rules that they cannot get into it unless the stock itself and the company are investor grade rating. So they might be waiting for that. So I don't know what the percentages of funds that are still out there awaiting for this. That I don't know. Gary Black, let me bring it up on Twitter here. Gary Black had mentioned it himself. Let me see if I can find it. There was a number, Gary. Which actually, you know what? I could probably bring it up on here for you guys. Let me do this. Let me see. Get back over to here. Yeah, I'll bring it up. I'm learning how to do the share screen thing, so I could actually totally share it with you guys. Let's see what we got going on here. Where is Gary? Oh, Ron. Oh, for Christ's sake. Gary Black. There we go. Yeah, if you guys don't follow Gary, if you guys are on Twitter, definitely follow Gary. He is great. He's what I call a grounded bull. So he's very bullish on the company, but he also is very realistic and grounded with his numbers. So some people would consider him bearish. If you're like a hyper bull, you would consider him a bear, but he's totally not. Wow. Oh, here we go. No, that's not it. Yeah, so here we go. So this tweet right here. So Tesla under-owned by institutions over other ones. So Tesla's only 44% owned by institutions versus, all these other ones. Apple's at 62, Microsoft is at 75, Google is at 75, Amazon 71. So very under-owned by institutions. So that's the best gauge we have right now to see what kind of institutional growth we can see in the stock when institutions actually buy it. So, I mean, that's a good chunk. So, I mean, right now it's mainly owned by retail investors, and, all the other stocks are not. And that's why the other stocks are not as volatile. So if we see a better balancing there, that's when we're going to see a lower beta come in. Let me see here. So if you buy the stock between the 18th and the 24th, nothing. Your shares will not split. So you're just going to own whatever it is. So that's why it's kind of like day trading only during those times. So there's nothing that's going to be gone long term. Yeah. But honestly, I don't know the actual inner workings of the math on it. But you need to be a shareholder by the end of the 17th to have that split. And if any of you guys know better information on that, let me know. This is I have Google that split, but I didn't really dive into that one too much. So this is the first big split that I'm going through. Oh, thanks, Dean. I appreciate that. And I try to compete with Gary on the hair thing. He's got a little more on the sides than I do. But I did say, I mentioned before, if you guys don't know, when we hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm taking it all off. It's all gone. The beard's staying. The beard is staying, but I'm completely shaving the whole top off once we hit 10,000. And I'll even do a video for it. Maybe I'll do it live for you guys. All right, let me jump into here. I wanted to show you guys the So looking at the chart here, so, we were on this nice upward trend. Let me get this off of here. So yeah, so we were on this nice upward trend, and I wanted to stay within this channel, and we didn't. We broke down below it. But again, the RSI is now at 59.94, so that's getting closer to the middle. So now is the point where we're going to be looking for a consolidation. So if we can find ourselves some footing, and again, even if we do drop and fill that 742 gap, where is it on here? Yeah, right back here. So even if we do fill that 742 gap, that means we'll fill the 776 gap. So if we come down and then build off of that again, that's going to be nice. Last time we did it, we had that channel from 620 up to 770. we found that channel and then we started to consolidate. So if we end up finding out that, hey, you know what, 940 was the top of this time around, and then we're going to find the bottom maybe is around like 730, 740, and then we start to make, you know, lower highs and higher lows, that means we're consolidating. And then we can consolidate maybe around that 820, 850 mark. And then from there, we can break out or break down. That would be the nice way to see the chart move. Obviously, it can do anything it wants in the future, but that is the ideal situation that we are in right now. That'll give the RSI a chance to cool off. It'll probably end up coming down to around the 40 mark, bring itself back up to the 50 to 55 mark, and then we'll settle in the middle there. Okay, yes, the top is definitely gone, but the sides will go away. Oh, I see. Yeah, 750. So 750 that, I mean, because the gap going down to 742. So 750, that's why I have my buy in at that point. And again, gaps don't always have to fill. But looking at how we have filled every single gap this year, I'm anticipating we're going to fill it. It was just a matter of what was going to cause this sell off. And, you know, we were talking about it yesterday where I had said that 935 was, you know, the line we had here. So 935 is right here. And I was like, we've got to break this resistance level. And we bounced. And then during this day here, we actually bounced twice. And that second bounce is where I said, if we break through, we'll continue running. If we don't, we'll fall hard. And we ended up falling down to 923, had the annual shareholder meeting, kind of leveled off around that 930 mark. And then today we saw that sell off. So that's it. A lot of times you're going to see in technical analysis a triple test. So you'll see, unless you get some crazy news that blows you right through the line, if you've got a support or resistance level, you're going to test it 3 times. And that third time you test it, it's either going to bounce off of it or it's going to break through. And once you do one or the other, it usually moves relatively fast in whichever direction it goes. So if it bounces, it's going to bounce hard, just like it did. If it goes through, it's going to come through hard. Let me see. Well, high beta is good for growth, but it's also good for volatility. So that's why, again, when it comes to Tesla, options are played heavily with it, because when you play options, and I don't, so I don't know a lot about options, but volatility is a number that gets factored into options. So the higher the volatility, the more money you can make. It's risk reward. So you can also lose a lot more money when it comes to that. But that's why people play options a lot when it comes to Tesla, because it is a very good high growth stock that's actually profitable. So people usually have hedges on both sides. So they've got long-term shares that they're good with for the growth on it, but then they'll play options on the other side to hedge both directions. You know, Meet Kevin does that himself, which is why, you know, a lot of people have been watching him and he's been doing that, you know, and learning that. So, you know, we can have discussions about Meet Kevin all day long. I liked watching him in the beginning. I loved his opening closing live streams, and then he kind of went, you know, off into a little bit different direction than I wanted to watch. So I don't watch him nearly as much anymore. Let me see. Hey, well, you know what? I gotta say, when you're eating dip, you need crackers. Just saying. Thank you for the super sticker, Cam. I appreciate that. Actually, the way I do it on Twitter is I just follow people. I follow like Gary Black, Sawyer Merritt, Dave Lee, Rob Maurer, Tesla Podcast, James Stephenson. It's really just a matter of finding the people and knowing who it is. There have been some very good. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Man, I can't remember who posted it. There was somebody who made a whole breakdown of Tesla influencers to follow. Let's see. I mean, you could just go into a search bar as well. But let me see. It's not working that way. Yeah, so somebody had, let me see, maybe if I do Tesla to follow. Yeah, it's, if you follow the right people, you're just going to see the news all day long. Like I said, Gary Black is a great one. Eventually you're going to end up getting some of the Tesla Q people as well, which isn't bad. I try not to get too distracted by them, and because they're out there, a lot of them are just, it's like they're so against things. Like I'm a huge Tesla bull. I love Tesla, obviously, but it's like I'm not going to go out there and bash the other companies other than GM because they're just liars. But like if these people are trying, they're trying. I'm not going to bash them. I'm just going to say, you know what, show me the money. Tesla is showing me the money, and the other ones are not. Yeah, I can't find it right now. I'll have to look for it later. But that's really it. So when it comes to Twitter, that's follow the right people. I'm over there if you want to follow me at Oracle Tim 1, and you can actually just see who I'm following and just follow the same people. And that'll be a great way to figure out, all the news. And again, you just go in there and you'll see who are going to be sharing the things that you want to see. It's no different than really any other social media. Let me see. Yeah, Stephen Mark Ryan, and he's for some people an acquired taste. He's definitely, as some people with, he even says himself, he's a little more on the arrogant side, but he was open and honest about it. He is who he is. And I have no problems with somebody who's going to be open and honest, even if it's not something that I like personally. I personally follow Rob over at Tesla Daily every day. He's the one who gives me the basic news that I need. Stephen Mark Ryan gives me the very bullish end of what I'm looking for. Troy Teslake and A Tesla Bot over on Twitter give me the numbers I want to see for production and deliveries. And I just kind of put them all together. Let's see here. Wait, how did I miss Lucid's? Oh, yes, I did see that. Now I know what you're saying. That was hilarious. Elon saying that he produced more kids in the second quarter than Lucid produced cars. So who knows? Maybe if Elon's not joking, maybe he made some more babies in the second quarter that we don't know about, and we're going to find out about them sometime at the end of the year and beginning of next year. Yeah, solving the money problem. Farzad's good. I only have so much time to watch stuff because I'm trying to make stuff for you guys on here as well. So Robbo Tesla Daily is the number one I follow. Dave Lee and Stephen Mark Ryan, I kind of go back and forth with. Dave, I know, has been traveling around and he's basically living the life that I want to live right now. He's on a nice RV tour with his family, which is awesome. So I'm kind of jealous of Dave right now. But those two, and then James Stephenson's good. He's got some very good numbers that he goes into. Let me see who else I've got on there. That's really the big ones that I follow for the time that I have. And then I'll dive a little bit deeper into like Tesla Economist and some of the others. Dr. Know-It-All is not bad. I haven't really gotten into a lot of his stuff. Warren Redlick is good. I follow him every once in a while. He's got a good live stream on Sundays usually. Let's see what else we got here. Yes, actually, that is exactly why I watch it. So Stephen Mark Ryan, if I'm ever in myself feeling, oh man, like there were times where I'm like, this stock is getting beat down. I just need I need to pick me up. I need a little Tesla caffeine kick. I'll go watch Stephen Mark Ryan because he's going to give me that. He's going to give me that little jolt and reminder of, hey, we're going in the right direction. Just hold on. And I try to do that for you guys, but sometimes I need a little boost too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny when I started the channel up. I didn't even know what I was. I didn't have really what I was going for, and it just kind of fell into this direction. So I've been kind of growing with it, and I thank you guys for all your support, because you have helped me grow into this as I have gone. I mean, 6 months ago, I never thought I'd be doing a live stream where I could share screens. This is totally new for me to do. So thank you guys for sticking around and helping me learn this. Yes. And I've got some big hikes coming up as well. Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm going to go to some bigger mountains up north. So you guys are going to burn quite a few vicariously through me. Let's see. Yeah, India for a factory. I thought for a long time that India was going to be the next one, but India was just playing such hardball. It's not worth it right now. And when it comes to India, Tesla's going to have smaller, like the Arcimoto type of vehicles over there, because those are the more popular ones in India. When it comes to like a Model 3 and a Model Y, not a lot of those are sold. So to get the better bang for their buck, they need to have that size vehicle. And I know that Tesla said that they're working on projects that we don't even know about yet. So maybe that's something they're working on. We will see. And then obviously, I know many of you guys over in Europe have spoken about how you need something smaller, like a little hatchback type vehicle over there. So I have a feeling that's going to be what we are all referring to as the compact car. So whether that becomes the robotaxi or not, don't know how that's going to work out, but I have a feeling they are working on that, and that's going to be coming out probably from the newer factory in Shanghai. Yeah, specs and change. So we knew it was coming. I mean, you've got to be honest and realistic with yourself. Honestly, I really hope they do hold true to the FSD pricing at least. We know that that pricing came up, but for the amount of people who reserved it back then, what was it, a couple $1,000s? Whatever. Take the hit, Tesla. Do the right thing for the customers. Even if maybe you split the difference, say FSD is going to be $15,000, and I think it was $6,000 for the reservations. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Even if you split the difference, said, hey, we're going to go $9,000, whatever it is, maybe 10,000. Split it in the middle there. Do something for the early people who jumped on board because they wanted it. But when it comes to the specs and pricing, you knew it had to change. I mean, they already announced that they're not going to have a single motor. It's going to be dual motor. I don't think they confirmed the tri-motor. I think it's dual, quad, and plaid version is the last I heard from Sawyer. So if those are the three versions that are coming out, they're going to be significantly different specs. The vehicle itself has had so many things added to it since then. So pricing definitely has to change. I personally think that pricing for the plaid version will be probably 120 to 150. Quad motor is going to be 1 to 120, and a dual motor is going to be like 80. That's just my guess. I'm hoping we find out by the end of the year what they're actually going to do for pricing and specs. And I check on a weekly basis to see if they've updated anything on the order page to see if I can even do anything. Right now, it just says, we'll let you know when you can do it. So they'll probably send out an email to let me know too. Yeah, that's the hard part about India is very strict about that stuff. And importing, exporting, their importing fees are so ridiculously high for people. It's just not it's not fair to the people who live there. And Tesla's really not on board with that. Oh yeah, yeah. That got my attention when Sawyer had mentioned a Cybertruck plaid version. I was like, ooh. I was like, yeah, I will definitely spend the money on that. So I have no idea how much it's going to cost, but hopefully it will be within my price range of some sort, because a plaid version, and I'm hoping that they will have a Starlink plaid version. Ideally, that would be it. The Robo van, I'm going to be very excited about, hoping they have a Starlink version of that also. Yeah, exactly. 100% tariff to import. That's ridiculous. What else do I want to share with you guys? Oh yeah, you guys, we already discussed the 8K and that stuff for the split. So what do you guys think about the timing of the split? Getting that I figured it was going to be right around that time frame. I thought it was going to be like a week later. I didn't. They're definitely moving on it quick. I had a feeling they were going to move on it quickly. But jumping onto the split for the 24th, 25th is awesome. Very excited to see that happening as quickly as it is. So now I've got to get myself to as many shares as possible. Hoping to get in there. Let me see what else we got going on. Yeah, the optional tank treads. That would be awesome. I want the Mars version of it. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, let me see what you got here. Just I tried to order a 2023 Chevy Bolt. Yeah, seriously, that's the broken part. Dealerships are literally middlemen, and when you look at the way Legacy Auto operates, they will have contracts with all of the dealers, and the dealerships have to purchase a certain number of vehicles from the manufacturer. So when we're looking at, GM's deliveries, Ford's deliveries, it's not directly to the customer deliveries. These are deliveries that they made to their dealerships. So the numbers are a little skewed. And so the numbers are how many vehicles they got to the dealerships, and the dealerships sell them, and then they make the profits on top of it. So Legacy Auto doesn't actually make much profit on their vehicles, as many people know. They make all their money on the parts and service, and that's where the dealerships make all their money. So GM is going to make a lot of their profit and margin from selling parts to the dealerships. Then the dealerships in turn will make all of their profits from the parts and then service on top of it from the customers. And so having the middlemen in there means that it's more expensive for the customer to get things fixed for them. So while they may be able to keep the cost of the vehicles down a little bit, if there's high demand, they're going to throw on these extra markup fees, which is just ridiculous because it's just money in the dealership's pockets versus Tesla, who is just like, well, we don't want to have to raise our prices, but we've got to bring demand down. So we're going up on prices. And when we get an opportunity to bring prices down, we will. So when that happens, I don't know. But obviously Elon has spoken about it. And this is going to be the real challenge for Legacy Auto going forward, because the more EVs they sell, the less parts they're going to be able to sell, because there's not going to be as many repairs on the EVs. And when you don't have as many repairs on the EVs, that's less gross margin coming in, less profitability. And if the EVs can't even be sold at a profit themselves, that means no profitability coming in. It just spells it's just a disaster for them all. So again, I would love to see them work through this. I would love to see, the more people on board pushing EVs forward, the better to get us there. But it's definitely going to be a challenge for them. Let me see. Yeah, the 4680 ramp is something I'm definitely paying attention to, and I think Elon and several of them over there. Gosh, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's been a long day, but they were talking about how 4680s. Obviously, we're looking at them for this year. Now that they have kind of their own crutch in place when it comes to the 2170s, especially in Austin, they can get their vehicles ramped and put out. So right now, they don't have to focus as much dire energy on getting the 4680s ramped up, because they know that they're going to get vehicles pumped out with the 2170s. So that's not a big deal, but they do still have to make sure that they've got these 2170 or the 4680s getting pumped out by the end of the year, because obviously if they're switching over to the structural 4680 packs for the Model Y, and they want to have the Cybertruck have all of these and potentially put them in the semi-truck, you're going to really need to get these ramped up. So I'm definitely paying attention to the ramp of the 4680s. I think once they get it going, they'll be fine. It's just a lot slower than expected. So it's a little disappointing, but I know that they're moving. Yes, best dealer is no dealer. And I mean, and some people like that experience. Some people like to go to talk to a salesman and get information, especially some of the older generations. That's how they were brought up. And there's nothing wrong with that. I look at like my parents, they go out there and they want to talk to somebody. That's how they get the information. They have an actual conversation with a human. They ask them questions, they get answers in return. There's nothing wrong with that. The younger generations, we're so used to buying everything online as it is. Like some of us don't even want to talk to a human. It's like, dude, I was like, stay away from me. I got this. I know what I'm buying. I can read. I can figure it out. And as long as they set it up in an easy manner, I think that's really what it comes down to is when you're buying a Tesla online, you know what you're getting. It's really easy and straightforward. You don't have a million different options. You don't have all these caveats of different things that you need to read through. It's really straightforward and direct sales. That's how it works. So, it's nice to have that. And when you go to dealerships, all the different things that they've got to discuss, it's like, why are you making it so complicated? If you weren't so complicated, you wouldn't need to have somebody there to explain and uncomplicate it. Yeah, actually, I want to say, what was it the Ford said? They said they weren't making money on the Mach-E, but I think they said they were making money on the Lightning. They were making money on something. I don't know how much it was, but either way, you're pretty right there. I mean, when it comes to it, if anybody is making any profits, it's very minimal. I'm actually curious about Polestar, because Polestar is like the quiet one flying under the radar, but actually doing relatively well. And Hyundai might be profitable as well. I do not know their financials, so if you guys know, let me know. I don't know Hyundai's financials, but they're out there producing cars too. Let me see. Share. Ooh, yeah, last day of 2030. Last day. So pre-split, I've got them at $11,009. That's where I have them at the end of 2030, as of right now. And obviously, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then. Mine is based on them solving these problems, but I just put the percentages in there, like maybe like a 20% chance that AI is solved by that point, and we do have Optimus out there and running and being sold to people. So I've got like a 20% chance of that happening, and that's how I factor mine in. And I could very well be super low. I mean, I know some people are out there with 25, 30, 40, $50,000 price targets for the end of 2030. It's nuts. But honestly, with everything that Tesla has going on, it is a potential. Again, it's just a matter of how quickly can they actually solve these things, and how quickly can they do it. Like if AI and Optimus are figured out by 2026, then forget about it. It's going to go to the moon, way past the moon, to Mars and beyond that. So it's really going to come down to timing. Yeah, so I owned Polestar for a little, a small amount, very small, when it was GGPI, when it was just a SPAC. And I bought it just because I knew it wasn't going to fall under $10. I got it for like just over 10. It was like 10.18 that I bought it for. So I was strictly in it. And a lot of the times that I get into plays that I'm doing for like a swing trade, I'm doing it strictly because I see Tesla like maybe on a downtrend, and other stocks, are looking like they're a little more active. So if Tesla's on a downtrend, I'll put a little bit of money into these other stocks as a swing play to make some quick profits on them, so that I could take that money and then put it into Tesla while Tesla is on a downswing. That's how I'm swinging it back and forth. But that's really the only reason I swing trade at this moment, is to make some quick profits to be able to put that money over into Tesla. So Tesla will do dividends. Elon did say that they will be doing buybacks. We discussed it earlier. There's a very good chance that they're probably going to do a split end of next year, beginning of 2024, do a split and a buyback at that time. That's my guess. Dividends probably will not come until the end of the decade. I think we will get dividends coming when they have actually got Optimus out there and running. When Optimus is at the point where I would say Model 3 and Model Y are right now, then we'll see dividends, because that means they're going to have this ball rolling. They're going to kind of be like on cruise control, and they're going to let that ball roll. And after that, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, you go back, when we were coming out with the Model 3, and Optimus wasn't even a thought. So who knows what's going to happen between now and then, and what other things that are going to come up that Elon may think of. Maybe he'll make a Tesla Starship. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But there's some crazy things that could happen in that time. But I think it's going to happen after AI and Optimus are truly out there. Then we may see dividends. But until then, they're going to keep on dumping all of that money back into the company to keep it growing, which is crazy to think about. Thinking about the fact that we're at where we're at right now, at nearly what are we at? Like an $850 billion market cap. or yeah, about there, maybe a little higher. And so we're at that level, and we're still growing. We still have massive growth ahead of us. Yeah, 22x. Actually, let's see. What's the math on that? So 22x, 22, so $19,000. All right, I'm good with that. I'll take a $19,000 price at that point. Yeah, definitely no dividends for now. I think dividends after 2030, definitely. I think timing wise is when it's going to happen. We will see them. I have no doubt we will see them. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, because that money has to go into growth. While buybacks are a slightly different way of swinging the money, and it actually the money still technically kind of goes back into the company itself, so it's not terrible. And a lot of times when companies do buybacks, they're buying back the shares because they've got like the compensation packages that they pay out to all their executives and the board members. They've got to get those shares from somewhere. So if they're not sitting on those shares, they will do a buyback to get those shares to then issue them out. That's why you may see like a stockholder vote for more shares. We issue more shares. We get the split. We get the buyback all at the same time. So it kind of levels it all off, brings the stock price up, and then they give themselves some shares that they can utilize for their compensation packages. Yeah, the split's going to be the 24th. Opening 25th, we'll have our split adjusted shares. So you'll have 3x the shares of whatever you had on the 17th, and then the next one I think will come the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. Yeah, that's a great point. You know, like I got in at the end of 2020, and I look back, and obviously I'm like, man, I wish I got in sooner. But you think about it, like, all right, you can't go back in time. We're not Elon. We don't have time machines, so we can't see what the past was. We can't go back there and do it. But look forward, and you can learn from the past. So I look back and I'm like, all right, I didn't buy in when I didn't even know about it. I don't know what I don't know. So I couldn't buy back in 2016, but I now know more about Tesla. I know the fundamentals of the company. I know the growth trajectory of the company. Where are we going? So now is still a great time to buy in, because when we get to 2025, you're going to look back to this time and be like, man, I wish I bought more back in 2022. And that's just how it's going to work, in my opinion. And so just paying attention to kind of where we're at now, looking ahead. So you look back and say, oh, what would I have done if I had bought back 5 years ago? Now look out 5 years and ask yourself, all right, well, in five years from now, is right now going to look like 2018 did? And if you think yes, now's a good time to buy. Yeah, I know he talked about it, and obviously that was something that he spoke about last night also. Way back in the beginning, that's what he wanted to do. He has talked about that over the last year, about how logistically it's just not the right thing to do right now, because mixing publicly traded companies with privately traded companies, it gets really ugly. And especially with the fact that Tesla is extremely profitable right now and his other companies are not. So the other companies would really drag Tesla down, would not be good for the overall growth of all of them together. Perhaps down the road, maybe when we get to the end of the decade and we get to a point where Tesla is stupid profitable and like a $10 trillion company, and SpaceX and Starlink have separated, and Starlink is profitable. SpaceX is getting profitable at that point. Maybe at that point he does put them all under the X Holdings company, but I think it's going to take a lot more growth from all the companies before he makes that happen. You know what? Somebody else asked that before. I am going to get information on that. I do not know. As far as I know, that was my thought was, well, if you have to hold the stock by the 17th, that means you basically have from the 18th to the 24th to continue buying. But if you're buying the stock, does that mean that your stock is not going to split? How does that work? I am going to find that out. I'm going to try to Google it right now. Let me see if I can find this. Let me see. What happens if you buy a stock split after record date? The record date is when the existing shares need to own the stock price. If you buy and sell shares between their price. It says the right to the new shares transfers. Gosh, I don't speak that lingo totally yet. Give me a second. I'm looking this up for you guys because I do want to know this. Is it forward stock, reverse stock, split ratios? I don't know. We expect from the stock splits, record date, where the record date is when it's transfers. Wow, that was not very good information. I'm going to continue looking. Let me see what else you guys got in here. Yeah, you're not wrong with that. So, a lot of people look at, Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett, is a value play guy. That's what he's known for. But you have to remember that when Warren Buffett got into the stocks that he's in now that are value plays now, they were growth plays when he got into them initially. And he just held on to them for friggin' ever. So if you get into Apple now and just hold it forever, it's going to be good, and you're still going to see growth, and you'll get dividends out of it, and you're going to get all these nice things. And of course, the more you buy early on, it's going to get splits over time. You're going to have more shares. They're going to give out those dividends. The more shares you have from the splits, the more money you're going to make from the dividends. So the longer you hold it and you stay with a company that does end up doing well long term, like the Coca-Cola that he has, you get into those stocks, you're going to do very well in the very long term. But you've got to hold them for the very long term and keep on adding to it. That's just how he has played it. So you look at an Apple. If Apple is going to be around for another 50 years, buying in right now, still not a bad time to get in. Obviously, that's why a lot of these high growth stocks are ones that people try to get into early. Because if you get into these growth stocks early and you're in there for a long time, you get a lot of those shares for a very low price. Those companies do well, and now you've got hundreds of thousands of these shares that you got at a stupid low price that are now growing, and you get dividends in the long run. So even if you get to a point where they're no longer growing, because you have so many shares, because you've been in it for so long, you're going to get crazy dividends in return. So same thing with Apple, and that's why a lot of people are getting into Tesla, because we now see as a profitable company how Tesla is going to grow. So getting into it now, if you hold the stock for 50 years, they will end up doing dividends. They're going to do a lot more splits along the way. You hold on to the stock for 50 years, talk about generational wealth. That's why so many people are like, Tesla, this is like a once in a generation, once in a lifetime opportunity to get in, because if the company is going to do what it says it's going to do, you're going to make bank in the future, and you can pass all of this future wealth to your children and grandchildren and so on. We do. Absolutely, we do. You guys are awesome. And I got to say, those of you guys who were on the live stream last night, I was cracking up. You guys were an absolute riot. Oh, man. And I do apologize. I know on the live stream, I said I was going to go back and timestamp when the boring part in the beginning was over. I did not get a chance to do that today. Today at work was just not a very good day. So I will get to that later today. So I apologize. But it's about 30 minutes of very boring video to watch and listen to, but hilarious to read the comments. Yeah, that's, Elon said it last night, and like a lot of analysts do not understand how AI is going to change the future. And the problem is a lot of analysts are only looking out at most 24 months. Analysts look out 24 months. They don't see past that, and they only see what do you currently have right now and very minimal growth. And when it comes to what they see in the future for a company, it depends on whether they're bullish on the company or not. So if you're very bullish on Tesla, you can see, yes, they do have future projects that are coming. They just haven't come to fruition yet, but we're getting there. Whereas other people who have hold ratings or who are bearish and have sell ratings are like, Tesla doesn't have it right now, and because they don't have it right now, it doesn't exist. And we're not going to factor that into our valuation models because it doesn't exist right now. They do not have any forward-looking vision. Meanwhile, because Tesla is so heavily invested in by retail investors, we are all looking out going, Elon, we believe in you. We believe you are going to take the company where you say you're going to take it. We see Optimus as that amazing 10-year plus play that is out there. We want to get into the stock now because we understand where you're going to take us. So that is a huge difference between analysts and retail investors, because retail investors maybe have more faith in the company getting out there. And, it's different because we're not dealing with other people's money. You have to remember, institutions are dealing with other people's money. It's not just their own. So sometimes you may see an analyst who, for the company they work for, they've got different ratings, but them as a person may actually own a lot more shares of the company because personally they see the vision and the future of Tesla. But because they're using other people's money, they kind of have to go what their investors are saying. And when Tesla's coming down, all their investors are like, why are you not selling? Tesla's coming down. Why are you not selling? And then they have to sell because their investors say to sell, and they're panicking and they don't want to lose their clients. So unfortunately, that's kind of how it works, which is why I like to discuss on here a lot of times taking your emotions out of investing. If you've got conviction in the stock long term, don't really pay attention to the short-term swings. And if you do, you look at it in two different ways. And the way I look at it to make myself happy is when we go green, awesome. My portfolio is looking better than it did yesterday. If we go red, awesome. I can buy more shares on sale to add more so that when we do go green, it's going to look even more green. That's how I envision it because I've got that conviction for the future. And if you guys are the same way, try to think about it that way. And I know many of you do play options as well. So those of you who play options, that swings your emotions a little bit more because you need to dial in. There's more timing involved. But long-term investors, if you've got conviction, just ride it out, man. Enjoy the swings up and down. Buy when it's down. If you can't, just wait it out. You'll be fine. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, you guys are all over the place. This is great. Yeah, Willie, that was a big one for me when they had talked about, at this point, it was funny because I have actually a spreadsheet. I'm over on Patreon if you guys want to follow me there. And I put out all the different spreadsheets. And I have a spreadsheet broken down for every single quarter in Tesla's history and how many vehicles they have produced. So I knew when they were getting to the 3 million mark because I've been tracking it all along the way and just doing the math on it. And so over there, I saw that they were hitting the 3 million. And then when he says, yeah, in another 10 years, we could be hitting 100 million. So think about the fact that we, in the next 10 years, could be seeing 97 million more Teslas being delivered. Doing some quick math here. So if we do 97 million, I'm going to have to break this down. So 97 million times, let's say an average selling price of, we'll go low, 55,000, because we know that we're going to have less expensive vehicles coming out over time. So I'll even go lower than that. I'm going to be very conservative in this. So we're going to do times, 97 times, we'll go with 45,000. So that's 4.3 billion. I must have done something wrong there. I think my calculator can't go that high with numbers. That's the problem. But yeah, so significant amount of money coming in. I think it was 4.3 trillion. That's what it was. So $4.3 trillion coming in vehicles alone, just vehicle revenue coming in over the next 10 years. Let me see. Yep, 33x. So, going back to Kenneth saying, 22x on what he's thinking for the stock price. And then again, that's just vehicles. It doesn't include energy, robotaxi revenue, software revenue, AI, if it's coming out at that point. Who knows what's going to be coming? Yeah, I'm actually wondering about that myself. Curious as to how many splits they're going to do and what size they're going to be. Again, any splits to me are going to be good. I've looked back at the history for I think it was Apple and Amazon and Google. Was it Google? There were a few, and I think Apple was one of them who they split like 3 years in a row. They split very tight on how quickly they split in the beginning, and then it took them some more time to split again. But split many times very quickly in their early growth stages, and we could see the same thing happening. I mean, think about it. It was 2020, we got the first split. 2022, we're getting another one. And, if we're continuing on the exponential growth curve that we're on, 2023 to 24 could be another one. Then maybe 25 and 26, another one. You know what? This is my first time splitting with Tesla also. I don't think we have any party favors, but maybe I'll get some confetti and throw it around that day. Yeah, I should call it Dave. Actually, Dave is one of the guys who I'm going to start reaching out to. Him and Rob Maurer. I'm going to try to get on here and do a live stream with them. So I will be reaching out to them shortly. I know Dave is traveling, so I don't want to bother him while he's traveling with his family. But I'll probably reach out to Rob in the next month and see if he's available for a live stream. And when I do plan on doing that, I'll ask you guys what you want to ask Rob. I've already started making a list of questions that I want to talk to him about. So I'll reach out to you guys and see what you'd like to ask him as well. Yeah, that's right, Psych Guy. I don't mind going over it again. So the actual split date is going to be end of close on the 24th will be the split day. And then when the market opens on the 25th on that Thursday, you will have split shares. You just need to have the shares be a shareholder by the 17th, and then those shares will be split. Will PE be better? Now, what do you mean by better? Do you mean lower or higher? Right now, I haven't even done the math recently on it. So PE, I think last I checked was around like the 90-ish mark. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I don't know if you mean better by lower or higher. But I mean, every time we come out with quarterly earnings, it drops the PE significantly based upon how you read it. There's 3 different ways that I have seen people read the PE. You either take the quarter that you have and you multiply it by 4 and annualize that, and that is the PE that you get. Some people just go by their own personal valuation models and they go out 4 quarters and say forward PE is going to be this. And then I've seen trailing PE where you take the previous 4 quarters and then do your PE based off of that. I like the way that Rob did it for this year because Q2 was kind of the one-off situation that we knew about. So because we had the one-off situation, he took the first half of the year and just doubled it and then looked at that as a PE ratio. I think that was probably the wisest and best way to do it this time around. And then Q3 will make things a little bit different because we're going to kind of go back to a normal growth trajectory at that point. So it's tough to really tell on that one. Wow, you guys are busy on chat today. This is great. I love this. Lowest number. Yeah, how many shares does everyone own? I own 10.5 in my main portfolio and 4 now, unfortunately. Well, I sold, it's actually not looking too bad right now. I sold 2 of mine at around 855 in my IRA. So I'm anticipating that pullback to fill the gap so I can buy those 2 back in at 750. Dean, even with 14.5, you'll get that generator. Just keep on adding. It's just dollar cost average all the time. You'll have plenty. And you think about all the splits. I mean, you'll have 1,000 shares in the next few years. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So for my son, actually, so I've been putting money into my son's account. I use the public app to trade on his. So I'm hoping that soon they let me dollar cost average. I'm very disappointed that they don't let me do it there. I may just move that money to another account where I can do that, because I just want to put money into it regularly, because he's 15 now. And I want to have a portfolio built up for him so that when he turns 18, he can just adopt that portfolio, and then start moving from there. And so for him, what I do is, when he's in school, when he gets his grades, for every A or improvement he gets in his grades, I will add in whatever grade he is. So next year he's going to be a junior. So $11 for every A or for every improvement in his grades. I put that money into Tesla for him. Let's see. Nice, Logan. Yeah, it's I've increased mine just because I weaned myself off of some of the other stocks that I was dollar cost averaging into. So I'm up to 100 now, but I was at 50 for a while. Actually, when I first started, I was doing 25 bucks a month. So it was very slow for me to get going. I paid my debt off and have now started investing a lot more heavily, and it's made a massive difference. Yeah, Willie, I started over on Robinhood. I like the platform. Obviously, they went through the whole GameStop debacle and all that stuff. So I pulled most of my money out. I liked it better in TD, but TD doesn't allow me to do fractional trading. So that kind of drives me nuts. Supposedly they're supposed to, because they're owned by Schwab, and eventually they'll get to fractional trading. I don't know when. I hope they do it soon, because I hate having my money in like multiple places. It's such a pain in the butt. But I have so much money in TD, to move it to somewhere else is just, it's not worth it. I'm just going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it now. Well, now that depends, Dean. Is it the great cornholio or just the normal cornholio? Because if it's great cornholio, then that's definitely a good place to put your money. So I'm not all in on Tesla. I'm working myself up to 69% currently. I do, my nature is to be more diversified, just my conservative nature, but I am looking to buy a house and getting into real estate. So once I get to that point, that's going to be basically my diversification. So by having, 2/3 of my portfolio be Tesla, that leaves me with 1/3 of my portfolio to play around with. I've got some money in crypto, like 7% right now. I do like to keep about 5 to 10% in cash. So the rest of my portfolio I use as swing trading to make some quick money here and there, to be able to add to my other, investments, whether it's going to be the real estate or Tesla or crypto or whatever I want. Yeah, truly, it definitely is. I mean, honestly, it's a good platform. It's not bad, but it's a little antiquated and archaic, and there's not as much versatility for some of us younger, less rich folk out there, let's say, to put money in there. They're more of the, hey, if you've got big money, you could put it in here. If not, go pound sand. Yeah, Google. I mean, I own Google. I started dollar cost averaging into that one, when they announced the split. So I only have 2 shares of it, not a lot, but I've got 2 shares of Google. And once Tesla splits and I see where my funds are at that point, I may dollar cost average into it a little bit more. I mean, Google really is the one who's paying me for my YouTube channel, so I invest in them, because if I invest, maybe it'll help it all out. I don't know, but Google is definitely a good company to be in for sure. Yeah, Dean, I will pass that along to Elon. You must split every year. Oh, this is interesting. I did not know this. California DMV investigating false advertising for FSD and autopilot. They must be talking about, and I was talking to somebody actually over on Twitter about it today, somebody from Tesla Q, um, about just the FSD name, and how they were like, yeah, we've got FSD, and it's misleading to its customers. And I go, what customers? I go, it's misleading to you because you're against them. I go, but every single person who has FSD beta understands exactly what it is. They know why they're in it. They have chosen to be in it. There is no misleading anything. They know exactly what they're getting into. So I don't know where they're coming up with this, obviously, other than to spread FUD. And it comes down to that. So I think that must be what they mean by the advertising because of strictly the FSD name. But yeah, what advertising that Tesla doesn't advertise, unless it's because, you know, maybe GM put out a slander campaign and they're talking about that advertising. Yeah, Rob's great. I'm really hoping. I've been trying to get over onto his channel to comment a lot more often and get some interaction. He hasn't responded to any of my stuff yet. I know he's got a. If you guys are as busy as you are on my live chats and in my comments, I mean, just imagining how much his must be built up. So I'm going to try keep on trying to reach out to him. May send him a couple of direct messages over on Twitter to get up in there to talk to him. But yeah, actually, so I remember Rob had reached out to Elon, and Elon said he's down for an interview with both of them. He said, "Rob, go ahead. Let's get you and Dave Lee, and if I can get in on that, that would be absolutely amazing. So maybe I can get in on that too. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that interview. So I'll reach out to Rob and see what he's doing on that one too. Yeah, if we end up getting that high, so I think based upon how we've been trending on the split right now and the reasons that they're doing the split to keep it to a reasonable price for employees to get into, I have a feeling like that $1,000 threshold is what's going to do it. So if they're pushing 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,500, probably don't want to go over that. So I think they may do a split to bring it down. So seems like right now that $250 to $300 range is their ideal range to get it down to. So I think timing of it's going to be, you know, where are we pushing? Where are they looking at the future? Because they're going to be looking 6 months down the road. Where are we looking at for pricing for commodities? How is the economy looking? What can we do in the future? Is it worth doing a split right now? And if we do a split, where do we think the price is going to be? Lots of different factors come in, but I think if they're anticipating at 1,500, they'll probably end up doing a 5-to-1. Yes, Dean. But did you notice that Elon is really all in on the business? He literally has the Cybertruck body. I mean, his whole body is built like the Cybertruck. So maybe that's how they designed it. Maybe they're like, Elon, do a little side pose, a little profile. Hey, that's how we're gonna do the truck. Maybe he was laying down one day and they're like, oh, that's perfect. We'll do a little clay model of Elon, and that's how we came up with the Cybertruck body. Yeah, normal PE, I mean, it's tough. Like you think about Tesla, you know, a few years ago, they weren't profitable yet. So any company that is technically not profitable has an infinite PE. So you got to go by different numbers to figure that out. So for Tesla, now that they are profitable, I mean, the problem is a lot of people are like comparing it to, you know, Legacy Auto, and they say, well, Legacy Auto has a PE of 8, so Tesla shouldn't be any higher than an 8. And I go, but Legacy Auto is not a growth company. They're an old dinosaur car company. It's totally different. So, you know, you've got to factor in a whole lot of other things like software and the fact that they're significantly more profitable and have massive growth ahead of them. So, you know, for me in my valuation model, my PE is around 55 to 60 because I try to keep it a little bit more on the conservative side, at least now. And then I drop that a little bit over time. I think I actually have it down to a PE of 30 when we hit 2030. But if Optimus and AI take off, you can realistically say, well, maybe at that point, PE should be at 75 and 80 again. And I think that's the reason why we see such a dichotomy in price targets for the stock is because, you know, looking at the future growth of the company based upon how much you think Tesla is going to solve and how much you think those things that they solve are going to be worth is going to determine what your PE for the future is going to be. And if you guys run your own valuation models, you'll see very clear as day that changing the PE a little bit changes your price target significantly. So if I change the price target from 50 to 60, it could jack up the price target from 11,000 to 15,000. Like that's massive. And so that's why you see such a massive swing in the stock price, just because people throw on different valuations long term. Let me see what else we got in here, guys. I'm a slow reader. I'm going through all your comments. You guys are lighting the place up. This is great. Oh, Fidelity does. Oh, this is good. So Fidelity does fractional shares. That's good. It's good to know because I know I have other people asking me about fractional trading and where they can do it. So that's good to know that Fidelity does it because I know Fidelity is one of the bigger ones too. Stock if you don't mind being insulted by complete strangers. I mean, if you want that too, just go ahead and post something positive about Tesla on the Tesla Q page. That if you want to be insulted by strangers, have at it. Let me see here. Yeah, I think the stock split size is all going to be determined by the growth of the company, and whatever they solve along the way. So if we're looking at 2024, they get robo taxis on the road, and all of a sudden we see massive profitability coming out of these robo taxis, the stock price could skyrocket. Maybe we go up to 1,500, 2,000 very quickly, and at that point they may do a larger split to bring it back down. So I think the stock price itself is going to determine what the split size is going to be. And of course, trying to predict the stock price future is nearly impossible. Twitter doesn't like you when they probably. That's a great point. I don't know the ins and outs of Twitter, but that's a good point right there. I don't know. Somebody was doing math on it before about the because Elon had put out his counter suit, and they put that out there on Twitter, and talking about how the monetizable accounts, there's they record 120 something million of them or whatever it is, but only 65 million are actually active monetized accounts. So the numbers are totally skewed on all of that stuff, and that's one of the things that he's throwing out in his countersuit. Is the numbers that they're giving to Elon for a purchase are not accurate to what they portray. Yeah, this is a big one too. So looking at the way the Dow works, I don't know if a 3-to-1 split would get them to the point where they can get included. But I know when they first announced the split news back in I think March it was, there were a lot of talks about getting included into the Dow after the split. So we may very well see this year a very similar pattern to 2020, slightly different just because we're in a rising interest rate environment versus a no interest rate environment. But going to a stock split, getting an upgrade to the investment grade rating for credit, and then going to inclusion into the Dow. So we may see a massive run into the end of the year if those things do pan out. Nope, the only Tesla. So Tesla does now, just to be honest, Tesla does advertise over in China. So obviously here in the US and most of the other parts of the world, they don't advertise, but they do advertise over in China. However, because most of us are in the US or Europe and other places that are not China, no ads. The only ads you're going to see for Tesla are slander campaigns from Legacy Auto. So thank you, Legacy Auto, for putting Tesla out there in people's faces. That'd be awesome. I mean, I would ask Elon the very, very important, pertinent questions. Like what's his favorite color? What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Those are questions that I need to know from Elon. Yes, the Super Bowl ads, which when now Ford did say that if you see another ad by them for this, then shame on Ford. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm sure GM won't have any problems putting an advertisement up there for Tesla. So Sonny, my thoughts on the stock price, looking at the trends that we're on the charts that we've got here. So I'm anticipating a further pullback. We've got CPI and PPI coming out next week. So that's going to swing us one way or another, because if we get a high reading for the CPI, we're most likely going to see a further pullback in the entire macro environment, which in turn is going to pull Tesla down, because the 10-year rate is going to go up. Today it was pushing 2.8%. So when you're at 2.8% and it goes up that high that fast, naturally high growth stocks plummet. So that was another reason why Tesla came down so hard today. If we see that happen again next week and giving us more fuel to the fire that the interest rates may go up higher in September, could see a further pullback. Ideally, I would love to see us fill that 742 gap prior to the split. We shall see how that happens. But if we see that and then run up into the split a little bit, maybe hit that $900 mark, and then post split will be 300. That's my guesses at the moment. I will continue to keep you guys posted on the charts and how we go along the way to see what we're coming up with. Yeah, seriously, fourth quarter this year, I am predicting, again, I'm going to say it, it's going to be the first 500,000 vehicle quarter for Tesla. That is my prediction for Q4 of this year, is we're going to hit 500,000 vehicles. And let me see, checking on that. So 500,000 vehicles. Yes. So hitting 500,000 vehicles for production, which I think they're going to probably hit the same 500,000 for production and deliveries, is absolutely nuts. Thinking about the fact that in 2020, just 2 years ago, they hit 500,000 for the entire year. And now in one quarter, 2 years later, they're going to hit that for one quarter. That's my prediction, but it's crazy the speed that they're growing at. Yeah, we'll see it pull back, and then going into the actual day itself, because you need to own it by the 17th. We may see a little bit of run like the 16th and 17th, and then going actually into the stock split itself, we'll see it. But again, the whole transfers thing, I need to learn that. So I wasn't able to find it right now. I will find it out for you guys. So in my next video, I will hopefully have an answer for you to let you know on that one. So Neuralink, I actually had a dream last night that in the future, when it comes to Optimus and even your vehicle, when you drive it with Neuralink, you can get yourself linked up to it. So you're going to be driving a vehicle that will drive itself. You're going to have an Optimus that you could just think what you want it to do, and it will do it. That's just my thoughts for the future. And I know that's a long, long ways out for that to happen, but I think that is a potential on the radar for the future. So for all of you guys who watch Stephen Mark Ryan, and he talks about you living in your basement with your mom, you can have yourself your Optimus robot girlfriend, and they can actually read your mind. So there's hope for all those guys that Stephen Mark Ryan makes fun of out there. Price target for the end of the year right now. Actually, let me see, because I did just update it. I've got to go through and update it again. Is that the most recent one? Base. So end of this year, 1069. How about that? So, irony right there. 1069 is what I have for the end of this year. But that is also based on, I dropped the PE down on it because of the macro environment. We can very well run past that. I was just looking at the compression environment that we were in. So as we go forward, I update it every single week. So that could very well change. But as of right now, it's 1069. All right. I'm gonna breeze through these last few comments, and then I gotta get off of here. I got some eating to do and some sleeping to do. But let me see. I don't want to miss anything in here from you guys. I don't think so. Tesla and China, and I'm very glad Elon decided to just kind of plead the fifth on that question and just pass the buck. So very happy about that. And I like the way he handled it. He's like, what could possibly go wrong if I answer this question? Tesla and China do have very good relationship right now, and they're working as partners. So I don't think that it's going to be negative against Tesla itself, because Tesla is also helping China grow. If this was further down the road and China's manufacturers were further along, it could potentially be detrimental. But again, at that point, if you look, 3, 5 years down the road, when you've got the Neo X Pen doing better, BYD growing even more than it already is, at that point, Shanghai won't be as vital to Tesla's business. It would still be a sting, but it wouldn't be as bad. So I think right now it should be fine. I don't think there's going to be major issues. But I'm not very good with geopolitical stuff, so that's just my guess, and I'm maybe optimistic on that, but I don't think it's going to be that terrible. Yeah, that is what I have heard as well. So the future cell phone would be Neuralink. So that's why when people are talking about the Pi phone, I'm like, look, if Tesla's going to come out with a phone, it's not going to be what we already know. Smartphones are technically still old technology now. I mean, they've been around for 15 years. So it's nothing new. Like if you're going to innovate like Tesla does, and you're going to put out a product that is going to be, the same as something else, you need to be so much better than that other product. So he would have to do it with a Neuralink. Like he said, typing with your fingers is a very slow process. If you can just think it and it goes onto your phone and sends, that would be the ideal situation. So if they do come out with a phone, it would be tied with Neuralink, and that's how it would work. Yeah, so true. And people have asked before, they're like, well, with all the robo taxis, where are they going to park? And I'm like, well, where are they parked now? You go into the cities and there's just massive parking lots and parking garages everywhere. If you have these cars that no longer have to be in these parking lots and parking garages because they're out and about driving, then you can turn those parking garages and parking lots into other spaces for people to live. And then you can have all the vehicles parked in a smaller area because the majority will be on the road. And if the majority is on the road, that's where then boring companies is going to come in. You go 3D with the tunnels that go underneath the ground. So this way you can keep the congestion off of the road. Oh, sweet. I'm scrolling through all these bots and scams in here. That's awesome. If anybody wants to earn Bitcoin and earn money, go ahead and don't click those. And by the way, I do want to apologize to you guys. I had been so good about going through and trying to clean out all the bots that are going through. Maybe it's because I hit 5,000 subscribers and all of a sudden I'm getting a slew of more bots in here. I'm trying my best to clean them up. But if you guys see them, I would never, ever send you a WhatsApp, anything on there. So please ignore that. Do not click it. Again, I'm trying to clean them all up if possible, but I just don't have time to go through it. I would rather spend my time responding to you guys than cleaning up stupid bots. Good point, Willie. Very good point. I do need to go through. Now that we have the official split, my plan for this weekend is to go through and update all of my price targets and adjust it for the split. So yes, 400 to 450. So my 1069, let's split that out. Let me see here, calculator. So 1069 divide 3. So 356. 356 is my end of the year price target as of right now. So great point, Willie. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. So that answers that question for all of you guys. And you know what? That's a good point because that explains why we do see that run up into the split date. So I don't know why they have that date of the 17th, as you need to be a shareholder by then. Again, don't know the minutia and all the fine details behind it, but thank you, Jerry, for mentioning that. So yep, you guys can, I guess, buy right up until the split day. So right up until the 24th, and then they'll all split the next day. That does make sense. So I'll try to figure out the other answers as to why they have that other date. But thank you. There's a huge answer on that question. Yeah, it's so bad. I don't think it's as bad as Twitter, But these bots are just crazy how much they come in. And it's like, and the way they're set up is one bot comes in, they'll make a comment, and they've been getting pretty good. Some of the comments jump on there and they almost look real at first. But then of course I drop down, there's something about Bitcoin in there, and there's something in there that flags me that says, nope, that's a bot. And then sure enough, there's like 26 comments on top of it that come in there, and it's all talking about something. And then somebody says, oh, how do I contact them? Call me on WhatsApp. Yeah. So if you guys see that, don't do it. Again, I'm trying to clean them all out, but it's a challenge. Like I wonder, like the guys like, you know, Rob Maurer, Stephen Mark Ryan, I wonder how many they get. It's absolutely insane. All right, that's it, guys. I'm going to head off of here. Been on here for a little over an hour and a half. It's time to head off. I got to go get myself some dinner, clean up, and head to bed. So otherwise, this has been awesome, guys. I love our Friday evening live streams. So I will be on. I'll get you guys something out tomorrow morning with some more information that I get. And otherwise, you guys are awesome. Looking forward to the split. Excited about that. Looking forward to some more buying opportunities. And don't forget, like Elon said, if you see the stock pulling back for some one-off issues or whatever it is, consider it a buying opportunity. That's what I do. Not financial advice from me, not financial advice from Elon, but Elon said it for his own company. You see the dip, buy the dip. So I'll leave you guys with that one. Yeah, perfect timing. All these bots start popping up. So have a great one, guys. Dean, you are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend, and I will see you all later.